Welcome to Accreditation Made Easy, the podcast that takes the stress out of accreditation. I'm your host, Areaka Jewell, and in each episode, we'll deliver actionable tips, expert insights, and practical strategies to help streamline the process, and of course, make your work life a little easier. Now, whether you're tackling policies, preparing for assessments, or just looking for ways to stay ahead, we've got you covered. Let's simplify accreditation, one step at a time. Well, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Accreditation Made Easy. This is the podcast that helps accreditation managers cut through the confusion and get results. I am your host, Areaka Jewell, and today we're talking about one of the most frustrating parts of accreditation. Can you guess it? Tracking proofs of compliance. I know, now you understand. All right, if you've ever felt overwhelmed trying to keep tabs on documentation or who's responsible or when something is due, then today's episode is just for you. We're going to walk through how to use PowerDMS Assessment Tasks to simplify that process and make your assessment feel less like a monster and more like a manageable to-do list. Sound good? All right. Let's start with the reality that most agencies face. Like, what's the real challenge? Well, you've got hundreds of standards. I mean, literally hundreds of standards. You got multiple staff members involved, and you have deadlines that never stop rolling. And then trying to track who submitted what, whether it's current, whether it meets the standard, put it all together, it's a lot to keep track of. And if you're still relying on emails, spreadsheets, or Post-it notes stuck on your monitor, I'm telling you, you might just hit a wall. All right, worse, if your system lives in someone's head, or even your head, or in that magical folder on someone's desktop, what happens when they go on vacation, or they leave, or you forget? That's why I recommend building your proof tracking literally into your accreditation management system. And if you're using PowerDMS, which most of us are, then you've already got this tool to do just this, assessment tasks. Now, maybe you're asking, what are assessment tasks? Well, assessment tasks in PowerDMS are essentially built-in to-do items that you can create and assign within each standard. Think of them as mini reminders attached directly to your accreditation project. These tasks, they literally live in the right-hand column of your assessment under the Tasks tab. You can write out exactly what's needed, assign it to a role, put who's responsible for it, and even make the task repeat every year or whatever time frame fits your schedule. But here's where the real value kicks in. If you're multitasking, come back to me. PowerDMS lets you track when the task is completed and see what's still outstanding and run reports that show status at a glance. No more guessing, no more digging. Sound good? All right, let's walk through how to set these up. So you're going to start at the standard level. Review each and every standard. You can go top to bottom, bottom to top, work in any sequence that feels natural to you. You're going to look for specifically the proofs of compliance that are required, and then decide what documentation or action is needed. Now, you can skip a task if it's just for a written directive and that written directive is already in place and attached to the standard, but identify what is needed, and then you want to go to the Task tab and click New Task. The date's going to default to today, but I recommend adjusting it either to the start of your assessment year or a specific due date if it's time sensitive. If a certain proof is due at a certain time each year, you want to factor that in plus a buffer and make that the date. Next, you want to write a clear description. I recommend Copying the language directly from the standard so it's specific. Then at the end, add who's responsible, like the bureau or division, or even the specific title of the person responsible for the proof. Now, what I don't recommend is using names of people because, as you know, people get promoted, they leave, they move on. Just stick to the specific title or the unit or both. Then you're going to assign the role. If your assessment only has one role, like accreditation manager, that's fine. Just select that there. If you have other people working on your team, maybe you utilize the team member role, then it might be appropriate to assign this task to that role, but you decide. Then you set the reoccurrence. Think, is this proof needed every year? Is it needed every 3 years? Set the frequency and an end date. And the end date is usually the end of your current accreditation cycle. Then hit save and repeat. Do this for every standard that requires documentation. You can skip the ones that don't have any proofs other than a written directive, but each one that requires a specific proof, you create a task for each one of them. And I know it takes some time on the front end, yes, but the payoff is huge. Huge. When you're halfway through your cycle and you want to see exactly where you stand and what you still need, this will tell you in an instant if you keep up with the maintenance, and we're going to talk about the maintenance next. All right, maintenance and completion of the tasks. Now that the tasks are set up, let's move on to maintenance. You've received a proof, you've uploaded it to the standard, you've labeled it, you've highlighted it, it's good to go. Then, and only then, go and mark the task as complete. You'll notice a little sideways caret or arrow next to each task. If you hover over it, you'll see the options to edit, complete, or delete. Now, I caution you with delete. You should almost never use it unless something was created by mistake, because if you delete a task, you lose the record and all the history that comes along with that. Completed tasks, they serve as a timestamp and a receipt of action. Keep that paper trail. The other cool part is you can copy tasks to future assessments. You put in all this work to create these tasks, it's not for nothing. Instead of repeating it next time, you just copy the tasks over. And I have other helpful tips on that too. If you need help finding it, just reach out. All right, so the next part is where it gets exciting if you're nerdy like me. Let's talk about reporting with tasks. Stick with me. PowerDMS lets you pull reports directly from your task data. Just go to the root of your assessment, click on the task tab in the blue bar, and then filter by role, task status, or even keyword. Think all those words that you built into the description, however specific you were. If you put the unit or the position, those are all keywords that you can search on. So why does this matter? Let's say you want to know what's still pending for the patrol division. If you included that in your task description, then just filter by the keyword patrol and hit search. You're going to get an instant snapshot of what's still outstanding, and you can download it if you want to download it and share it with certain units or supervisors or include it in your quarterly check-ins, whatever. This one trick makes you the person in the room with the answers instead of guesses. All right. If this sounds like something that your agency needs, let's be real. We all need more organization. You can get started with it today. Like I said, you have PowerDMS, you're using it for your assessment. Assessment tasks are part of that. So set yourself a goal. Create tasks for just 5 standards a week, or schedule 30 minutes each Friday to work on maintenance of your tasks. Whatever you do, make it consistent. And your future self will thank you during your next assessment. All right, you know me, I always have a freebie to download. So everything that we talked about today, I'll put a link in the show notes for it. And if you want more how to's, checklists, or resources to help you simplify accreditation, I've got you covered there too. Just head over to accreditationacademy.net/sign up. So that's all I have for you today. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a tip that can save your sanity. And until next time, let's keep making accreditation easy, one step at a time.